What is up, L's and G's? Welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today we've got another deck profile for you. This time I'm re-looking at Virtual World. I guess I might as well start this video off with a little bit of story time. It's nothing too crazy, but when Virtual World originally came out, I was very excited for the deck. I love the artwork. The effects seemed like every card in the deck was like an extender, and that was really awesome because it means you play through disruptions really well. And I was just really excited, plain and simple. And then me, like a lot of other players, learned very quickly, this was just like a VFD turbo deck. So now VFD is gone. And so the deck plays much more how I wanted it to play originally, how I envisioned it to play, but I didn't want to play it. I didn't want to play just like the bad version before and just not play VFD. And so now I think the deck's just in a really cool place. It grinds really well. You have a ton of utility in the extra deck. And there's also some future potential still that I'll talk about at the end of the list here that I'm excited for as well. So yeah, without further ado, let's take a look at Virtual World post 2021, whatever is that, March ban list? Yeah, I think it's early March ban list. So, all right, starting off with the monsters, plain and simple here, nothing too crazy. Obviously, 3 Lulu, 3 Lao, 3 Lily, 3 Gigi, and then 2 Nyan and 1 Tutu. So, just running through these real quick. If you're super new to Virtual World, real quick, I'll just explain to you. The main 4 up here, these are your main ones. They all have like the same kind of effect, but slightly different, and it works in 4 parts, okay? First, they start in hand. They all activate in hand by targeting any Virtual World card you control, spell, trap, or monster. Then, they'll have you send a different type than that card you targeted. So if you targeted monster, you send a spell or trap, and so on and so forth, however the other mix and matches are. Then they summon themselves and perform 1 more action. And that last action is what's individual to the card. So Lulu will do all those things, then search you a Virtual World card with a different type than the one you targeted on field and the one you sent. So if you target a spell, send a trap, add a monster. Target a trap, send a spell, add a monster. Whatever it is. Lao will then let you reborn a Virtual World monster from grave. Very good. He's one of your best extenders. Kieran or Lily lets you send another card with a different type. So if you target a spell, send a trap, you can also send a monster. So that's great for getting like Nyan or Tutu into grave. Or your spells or traps in grave, because they all have effects there. And then you have Gigi. Gigi's kind of like your Scarm. On the end phase, you then get to add back a Virtual World monster from grave, which is also really good. Just gives you great follow-up for turns, and he's one of the main reasons you're able to grind so well in the deck. And then you have these 2 down here. They're kind of a little more individual. Nyan can, if you ever summon a level 3 monster, period, it can just reborn itself. And if it's banished, it can shuffle any banished card you have back into the deck. So maybe you play Desires in this deck. So if you banish something that's a little bit crucial, you can send that back in just to get it back in rotation. And then you have Tutu. She can normal summon herself if you have no monsters except for Psychic or Worms on the field, or no monsters. So she just gets like a level 6 on the board easy that way, because this deck doesn't really play normal summons. And then its other effect is... hold on. The other effect's a little bit more specific. If it's in grave, you can discard a Psychic or Worm monster to special summon it back as a tuner, but banish it when it leaves the field. And then they all like lock you into only being able to summon level or rank 3 or higher monsters. So no links or anything like that. But yeah, that is the monster lineup. This is super standard, by the way, but I just wanted to run through the monster effects real quick if you are super new to Virtual World there. Moving on to the hand traps, very simple. I'm just on 3 Ash and 3 Gamma. This is also pretty standard. Gamma's pretty damn good in the deck. The deck, all the monster effects activate in grave, and or in hand, I mean, and some in grave. But none of them need you to have a monster on field technically. So a lot of times you're activating monster effects while you don't have anything on field monster wise, and that gives you the ability to gamma your opponent on your turn, which is very good. And then you have Ash. Ash just generically great, works against everything. And then I'd probably side other hand traps just in case, but I think these are the best ones to just have in the main, I think, for this deck. I think just the synergy with Gamma, and then Ash just synergy with the entire game of Yu-Gi-Oh, I guess, hitting everything. Okay, so that's it for the monsters. Very plain and simple. I'm not doing anything too crazy. I looked at a couple tech cards, but I decided I was just I got to the point where I was like, am I just trying to find tech cards just to have tech cards at this point? All right, for the spells though, Virtual World, we have the 3 Virtual World City Kowloon and 3 Virtual World Gate King Long. These are both amazing. Kowloon just fetches you any gate straight out of the deck and places it on the field, which means if you grab a trap, you just place the trap. You don't even have to worry about setting it for a turn, which is really good. And then it has a couple bonus effects. They're not that important. It's just like if you activate this and then afterwards you have a certain number of face-up gates, it gains effects. If there's 2, you can have all Virtual Worlds gain 200 attack till the end of the turn. Cool. If there's 3 or more, you can send the top 3 cards from your deck to the graveyard. So just mill 3. You do get some value off of that potentially. And then if you have 4 on the field, you can just special summon up to 4 different Virtual World monsters with different names straight out of the extra deck. That should theoretically never come up, but at least with what we have now. But I guess it's possible, and I figure it's worth mentioning just so you know. And then you have King Long. This is one of the most important ones in the deck because, as you noticed, all the Virtual Worlds need a Virtual World card on field to activate in the first place. So King Long is one of the best cards to get face up on your field, so you can start activating those. On field, it allows you to banish a Virtual World from grave to target a monster on the field and negate its effects to the end of the turn. So it's not a quick effect, but it does allow you on your turn to potentially play through certain disruptions, turn off certain floodgate monsters, whatever's currently in your way. There, and then from grave, it can banish itself to add a Virtual World card. Is it card or monster? Monster from deck to hand, and then you send a card from your hand to the graveyard. So it isn't a hard +1, but it does fix your hand, and you have cards that give you a value in grave anyway, so we don't always mind discarding there. For the rest of the spells, 3 copies of Pot of Desires. This is super standard at this point in this deck. 1 E-Telly and 1 Called by the Grave rounding us out here. Desires is fine. I mean, I know you might have been like, dude, you're playing Gamma with Desires? What if you banish your driver? Well, we do have Nyan to be able to shuffle back the driver into the deck to make Gamma live again. You may say, what if you banish some of your 2/1 of traps? Again, it's really fine. I mean, you don't necessarily lose the game, but again, you can just use Nyan to potentially shuffle them back during that turn or later in the duel to get access to them later on. E-Telly is just a great extender. Sometimes people think if they disrupt your normal summon, you're just like screwed, because if you didn't open a way to put any of the spells or traps face up on the field, you have to normal summon a Virtual World monster to get a name on field to be able to activate the other ones in hand. So they think if they just like pop or remove your normal summon, you can't play. E-Telly just allows you to play through that line of thinking. And then Called by the Grave, just stopping certain hand traps. Every monster in the deck gets hit by Ash, so I don't want to get hit by Ash. And then we move to the traps here, and you might be thinking, wow, he's got a good amount of traps here based off the number of cards we went through. That's exactly right. You guys know how I do. I love me some traps, man. I love me that purple. All right, here we go. 2 Chuche, 1 Suanwu. I don't know how you pronounce this, but still. 2 and 1, I think is pretty standard also at this point. People used to play 3 Chuche, but I think they've learned that it more so contributes to brick hands than like consistently getting it and it being awesome. So yeah, I think people have dropped it down to 2, but I do think 2 is necessary. It doesn't get banished off Desires as much if you're playing 2, still have a copy left. And then Zanwu is really cool. It's the new one. During the battle phase, if you control another Virtual World gate card, you can target a face-up monster on the field and change its battle position. That's just every turn, so it can help you just keep your opponent at bay if they've been trying to kill you for a couple turns. You just keep swapping their stuff before they get to actually attack and deal damage with it. Let me mute my computer real quick. There we go. And then, yeah, so Chuche is really great, just gets you pops, and then from grave it can modulate your monster's levels to make the right kind of exceed or synchro play that you're looking for. And then Sanwu's actual main effect, that's the effect on field. Its main effect is to banish itself from graveyard, target a Virtual World monster in grave, special summon it with its effects negated, then you get to send a card from your hand to the graveyard. So essentially you're just sending a card from hand to graveyard to reborn a Virtual World. But it does get you a body back on field, so it can come up to be a phenomenal extender playing through disruptions and stuff that way. But just a one-of. When it comes up, it feels really clutch and you're really happy you play it. But when you draw it, a lot of times it feels a little bit lackluster, so just bear that in mind. Finishing up with the traps, though, I am on 3 copies of Solemn Judgment and 1 copy of Skill Drain. Yeah, so this is my personal little like twist spin theory on the deck, is that like these slots usually end up being just more hand traps or something, but I wanted to go with something a little more impactful, if you will, especially going first. These cards are amazing going first, and because we don't have something like calamities, I wanted these to have like an extra little boost for our going first boards. If we're going to set up a board with a couple disruptions, these just like solidify those boards and make them like take them from pretty good to like insane. Skill drain's insane because all your monster effects activate in hand or grave other than your extra stuff, but we can just play beat down once you get that to that point. Solemn Judgment, this is just stupid. Like going first, like after siding, going first, it just stops any haymaker spell that your opponent thinks is going to break your board. And then even in a grindy game, this can be huge to just stop any potential huge swing cards coming your way. So I think this is great. This could also be Solemn Strike, but I would definitely at least side Solemn Judgment, I think, and side it in going first, but that is up to you. I think I'm playing it right now in the main, and it's been working out well for me, so I'm going to keep rolling with that. So that is it, 40 cards in the main. Moving on to the extra, starting off with our synchros and the synchro level 6s. We've got Stardust Charge Warrior, Coral Dragon, and Virtual World Beast Jiu. This card's great for just like dealing with certain cards that only disrupt by destroying things, because this can't be destroyed by battle or card effects. And then these two are great because you can just, these help you get to Ultimate Zulkin while also drawing cards in the process. Sometimes you run through your hand pretty quick, but because we just have access to these generic cards, we just end up drawing back cards, and that's why the deck can grind so well, is because cards like these. So yep, those are really nice. Moving on to some 9s, I play Virtual World QB Shen. Just one. Some people play 2 if it gets banished, I guess, but if it gets banished, that's fine. You have other win conditions. 1 Vermilion Dragon Mech. Still playing this. This card just still seems so good for just multiple pops. And then you have Cloud Castle. Some people have dropped Cloud Castle. I'm playing a little package of cards that still make Cloud Castle relevant in my list. Like especially if you already go through like Vermilion Dragon Mech, that turn you can just reborn him, pop another card, and then make a rank 9. So yeah, I'm still playing it as one of. This could be droppable potentially on how you want to go with the deck, but for me, I've been keeping it and it's been good for me when it comes up. And moving on to the spicy package, I guess. So in losing calamities, the deck definitely needed a replacement win condition. And I think this like 4-card package we'll talk about here in a sec is where that kind of comes into play, replacing that card. Okay, so the first half is Ultimate Zulkin and Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. To make Ultimate Zulkin, you just need, you need 2 level 5 or higher monsters you control with the same level to the graveyard. 1 tuner and 1 non-tuner. So the idea here is you just make Stardust and Coral. You're going to draw 2 cards in the process, but Coral is a tuner, so you just send those to grave and then you draw a card. You also could technically just summon 2 level 6s. It doesn't have to be synchro monsters, so you could potentially have like Tutu as a tuner and then a non-tuner. So like I think not Lao Lao, but like Lili. So you could have Lao Lao Lili, you could have, so there's a couple different ways to get to this, but just important. Also, when it's face up on the field, once you set a spell or trap card, you can trigger its effect to just summon Synchro or Crystal Wing straight out of the extra deck. Very powerful there. And then keep in mind, this is a dragon dark monster. The dragon part doesn't matter as much, but the dark does for my build. All right, then I have my only 2 procs in the deck, and I'm very mad because I'm almost positive I own these cards. I just don't know where the fuck they are right now, and I was very frustrated looking for these. But yeah, just keep in mind, this is not actually Invoked Elysium. This is supposed to be Invoked Caliga, and this is supposed to be Muddy Mud Dragon. So real quick, if you don't know what Muddy Mud Dragon does, he's a generic level 6 synchro, so I didn't put it with the other ones because I want to put it with this package. But he can essentially count as any fusion material that's like specifically listed on a fusion monster. So for Caliga, it lists Alistair the Invoker, so it would count as Alistair the Invoker. And it's a built-in fusion, like polymerization, because it says just like while it's face up on the field, you can just synchro, or you can just fusion summon. Sorry. So the idea here is after you've made Zulkin, use Zulkin to summon out your Crystal Wing. Then you can summon Synchro into Muddy Mud Dragon. Use Muddy Mud Dragon, which he himself will count as Alistair. Ultimate Zulkin counts as the Dark for Caliga. And you send them to the grave to summon out Caliga. Now, if you don't know what Caliga says, it says your opponent essentially gets one monster effect, and it still counts as a monster effect even if that effect is negated. So because we also have a monster negate on our field, it means if they activate the first monster effect and we negate it with Crystal Wing, that counts as their only possible attempt to activate a monster effect. So now they get no monster effects for the rest of the turn, assuming they can't out Caliga. And this board is usually backed by Chuche. So battle phase, Calaga's 1800, so they need something pretty decently big to get over this anyway without monster effects, and then throw the Chuche in there, and there's a very large chance that they are not able to clear this board by the end of the turn, and you try to win. So this is the new win condition. I will say that a lot of people are going the Dragoon out, so they go Muddy Mud Dragon, and then Muddy Mud Dragon counts as Dark Magician, whereas your Tzolk'in counts as the dragon monster that a Dragoon requires. So just keep that in mind. You could easily play that, but this is the more budget variant, I guess, and I think it's a little bit cooler. I think Dragoon's just lame. I haven't really been wanting to play him because, you know, fuck that card. All right, so that's it for the Synchros and the cool new win condition. Moving on to the Exceeds, I play one Jaja for rank 3s. It's the only rank 3 I play. Plain and simple, this is just here to be a Zeus facilitator. You could also try and play Fortune Tune. You could try and play Break Sword. There's a couple other options out there that you could try and play to facilitate Zeus. So just keep that in mind. But I'm playing Jaja because it's cheaper, it's easier, whatever. I don't know Fortune Tune at the moment. Then for rank 6s, I'm on one Virtual World Phoenix Fan and one Constellar Ptolemy M7. These are really good. Fan's so good, man. This card is crazy. It attaches 2 materials to target a monster on field and a card in, a face-up card on your opponent's side of the field and a card in their graveyard, and you banish them both. So just does that, and then if it's ever destroyed, it floats into a Virtual World card. Really crazy. It special summons 2 virtual monsters with the same type and attribute straight from the deck. So you just float pretty well into more stuff. And then Ptolemy, this card's detaches a material to target a monster or any monster on field or either player's graveyard and bounces it back to the hand. So just a lot of utility here. This could just be a bounce of an opponent's monster to help you go for game. This could also just target like a Lulu engrave, just to add it back and guarantee you follow up. Or if you haven't used Lulu and it's from like a prior turn, give you the ability to extend even further with your plays. So really cool card. Comes up the most out of most rank 6s. I looked at certain stuff. Photon Strike Bouncer, Utopia Beyond. There were a couple other ones that I thought were interesting, but those were the 2 I ended up landing on. Then finishing up here with our big boys, we have one Sacred Tree Beast Hyperiton. This is the one rank 9 I play. This is why I said like this is the main card I'm still keeping like Cloud Castle in the deck for potentially making this. It just negates something depending on the material you detach, and then he can potentially attach some of your spells, traps, and monsters to himself. So he pretty much is just a negate every turn, and I don't know. He's solid. He's a solid card, I think, and he can be a win condition. He can be really clutch when he comes up. So I like playing him in 1. I just like the card, so I wanted to find room for him in this deck. Better than probably any other deck in the game. Facilitates like rank 9, so I really liked it. And the last card, obviously, is Zeus. I know this doesn't make this budget. I don't think Zeus is 100% necessary for the deck, but it sure feels really nice when you use him. So I'll leave it at your own discretion to play this card or not. It's the one card I have in here that's like not budget at all. So do with that what you will. But yeah, I think you should play him if you can, overall. But yeah, that is it for the deck profile. Hopefully you guys found this helpful and cool and gave you some cool ideas for the deck, hopefully. And the one last thing I want to talk about is the future for the deck, because I still believe there's one card we don't have that we will get, hopefully sooner rather than later, and that is one more Virtual World Gate. So we have Kowloon, right? And just keep in mind, Kowloon is secondary effect, gives you effects based on the number of face-up gates you have, whether it's 2, 3, or 4. And we have King Long, we have Chuche, and we have Zanwu right now. And in the original translations from Japanese to English, these cards were correlated to a certain cardinal direction. So east, west, south, and north there. And so we've only got 4. This is the city, this is the capital, these are the gates, which means we're missing a gate here. And my best guess would be if we're going to get a 4th gate, it's probably going to be another spell, which is the best case scenario, because the one thing this deck can struggle with is consistency. If you don't open ways for you to put face-up virtual worlds on the field, you can be a little bit, you know, it can be a little bit awkward to try and do combos through that. But King Long is one of the best starters because it just gets you that face-up card, and having another spell, especially if it's decent, it doesn't have to be amazing, it just needs to be like decent, then just having the name will really unlock a lot of potential with the deck just in terms of consistency. So I can't wait to see what it does. Hopefully it's something good. And yeah, so just keep in mind, we're probably going to get one more gate, hopefully sooner rather than later. I'd love to see it come in like Dawn of Majesty if we can, or maybe get imported in like, well, I mean, this isn't a TCG exclusive archetype, so I doubt we'll get it in like the 20 TCG exclusive cards for Lightning Overdrive, but maybe Dawn of Majesty, hopefully. I really think it'd be really nice and really solidify this deck with the new like play style and stuff, not just playing Calamities Turbo, and hopefully that would result in something really cool for the deck. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Gonna do it for me here today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As always, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one in the future, more deck profiles and stuff. And let me know your thoughts down below on the list. Like, I'm just one guy. I tried out a couple things here, a couple of interesting little techs and stuff that I haven't really seen much of for the Virtual World deck, and hopefully you guys like it. So I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Get the hell out of here. Goodbye.